Hello there dear YouTubers, my name is King1993 and today I'll be making another video regarding which type of weapon you should be using for your specific Valkyrie characters. And today's character is Bronya Zaychik, okay? I think that is the proper name, I think. Let's see. Bronya Zaychik, okay? Now before starting this video, I would like to suggest that please like, subscribe and click the bell notification icons to get more of this video on a regular basis, because each time I say that I actually mean it and I actually need those support. Okay, so please do subscribe. Okay, anyway, thank you and let's start with the video. Now Bronya Zaychik is a character which has a lot more uh, battle characters than any other Valkyrie characters. Okay, for example, the second most characters release was done on Theresa, which has 1 2 3 4 5 6, and Bronya has 7. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, now out of these 7, all 6 of them are actually physical damage dealer, as you can see here. Okay, but what about this one? This one is the only ice damage dealer. Okay, basically speaking, each attack will have an ice damage. But in case if you are wondering what about this one, Snow Sniper, actually Snow Sniper is not a ice damage dealer, it is a physical damage dealer. Only her ultimate is capable of doing ice damage dealing. Okay, so you can expect that ice damage, not all the time, rather some of the time. So anyway, let's start with the weapon categories. Let's go to the weapon and selected this one. Okay, so this weapon, instead of saying heavy weapons, let's call them rocket launchers. Okay, so what about these rocket launchers? Now unlike this pistol and this blade weapons, which is the beginner's weapon, this one is actually different. Why is that? This weapon has attack, critical, and also this weapon can actually have skill, weapon skill. Okay, this weapon skill at 2-star level is the abnormality of this weapon. So basically speaking, Bronya Zaychik is actually capable of using weapon skill by 2-star weapon categories. Okay, this is the first thing which is not happening to any other characters. And do remember that this weapon is actually free every time you get a character, a Bronya character. Okay, this is part number 1. Now let's go to 3-star level weapons. Now 3-star level weapons is a lot more different, because unlike 2-star where it is specifically written that it does charge damage, but each damage has more power attached to it: 1 shot, 2 shot and 3 shot, or 3 sequence. Okay, but unlike that, the third 3-star weapon are actually much different. How is that? First of all, let's talk with this. This is capable of doing the similar thing as the 2-star weapon. What? First sequence, second sequence and third sequence damage. Okay, but unlike this one, these two, okay, these two can actually does multiple missile damage or multiple rocket damage. So cluster missiles is what is called. What it does is at first sequence it launches 2 missiles, second 5 missiles and third 11 missiles. So the more you hold the attack button, the more missile it releases. These 1, 2 and 3 are of the same category, except the type of damage dealing is a bit different. For example, this does sequence damage as well, but it actually gains more power the more sequence damage it does. Okay, now unlike these 3 and this one is also different. This one can actually does laser damage, a rapid fire weapon that deals continuous damage to targets. So basically speaking, what happens is if I continuously press down my button, attack button, what happens is this one does continuous damage. So this one actually has cooldown mechanism. So basically speaking, once its core gets hot, or let's say it gets fully used up, what happens is it needs cooldown time. Now how much time does it cost? I have no idea because I didn't measure that, but in comparison to this, all these four others doesn't need any type of what should I call it, any type of cooldown. Now let's go to 4-star category. If you are at 4-star category, congratulations, you are now an intermediate player. But do remember that for a beginner player, this one is good enough. You don't need to upgrade to 3-star unless you really need to. Okay. Now if you are an intermediate player, the first thing you might get is this eye chance cannon. I have no idea why I even got this. Basically a waste of time. So let's be serious here. Similar to I told you in the 3-star weapon that these three can does multiple missiles, can launch multiple missiles, whereas this one can launch only one missile. This one can only does laser damage. Similarly, this 4-star is also the same. How are they same? Okay, first of all, let's say cannon here. This one has first sequence, second sequence, and third sequence damage, and this one can actually does single attack. Okay, but in comparison to this one can actually cause multiple damage to multiple enemies, or AOE damage. Okay, because this one is a cluster missiles, launching 11 missiles at the third sequence. And as you go to upper level from level 3 to level 4, you can definitely see that weapon skill actually is now double weapon skill. So every weapon is now going to have double weapon skill. Okay, everyone. So regarding this, the most beneficial one for you to get is not the laser type. Trust me, I had used the laser type. The laser type are not fun to use because unlike this single uh, launcher or single missile launcher and this multi missile launcher, all of these weapon uh, bullets or missiles, they actually land on the enemies. Okay, but when I try to use any of these laser type, what happens is they get stuck at a certain point. Basically speaking, these laser weapons do not actually follow where the enemies are going. They just continuously shoot, and eventually what happens is it gets to the cooldown point, and eventually my enemy doesn't get enough damage out of it. So I do not use laser types most of the time, which is why I also suggest that if you do plan on getting any of the weapon, uh, if you do plan on getting any of the weapon, then definitely do not buy these lasers, because the lasers are the most useless one, and these two are the most best quality one, the cluster missiles and the single missiles one. So based on that, do make sure that you do not get any of the lasers because they are useless type. Okay, this one is actually a cannon which actually shoots a missile instead of a laser. Okay, so sometimes the look might be deceiving, so do read the description, because I have a weapon, for example this weapon looks like it can actually does missile damage, but this one actually does laser damage. So based on that, I am gonna say do not buy these laser weapons. Okay, it looks cool, like it looks really good, but laser damage ones are not something I'm gonna suggest to anyone. Okay, now another topic is most of the Bronya characters is either physical or ice damage dealer. So having a fire damage dealing one actually has no point. So if you are planning on getting any of the weapons, do read the description of which type of damage it does. If it does physical damage, buy it. If it does ice damage, buy it. But if it does any other type of damage such as lightning or fire damage, do not buy it. Okay, now let's go to the advanced level. Okay, now for advanced level player, do remember that the 5-star weapon is actually once the main weapon categories, and then it was eventually became the 6-star weapon, which becomes the main category. Now let's start with the 5-star one. What happens at 5-star category weapons? At 5-star category weapons, each weapon becomes a signature weapon for a certain signature characters, but not all of them, most of them. Okay, for example, this one, a Star Destroyer. This one is meant to be equipped on black nucleus. Okay, I do not know all of the Bronya characters because I don't use them much as I use Harsher of Reason, which is an ice damage dealer. So what happens is I actually do not use most of the support character. Why is that? Because it is my playing method. Okay, I like to play single characters or single damage dealer characters. Okay, now do remember that the benefit of these weapons are they are far better than 4-star weapon. 4-star weapon and in between 5-star weapon, I often say that do not use any crystals on any of the 4-star weapon because they are useless and will eventually be forgotten. But unlike 4-star weapon, 5-star weapon can actually even used by the advanced player at in default of the absence of this 6-star weapon. So if you have any of the 5-star weapons, do upgrade it, but also read the description. Now there are two type of description. First description is here, another description is on the characters in recommendation line. Okay, so do remember to watch them. And also this has the same problem as all the others, and that is some of them are laser damage dealer. For example, this one is a scatter damage dealer. Okay, scatter as in it does multiple missiles attack. Okay, this one is a, let's say this one is a single damage dealing, or it has sequence of 3. That is not the main point, rather it can does 1 damage to 1 enemies only. This one has AoE damage. Not only that, rather look here, this can slow time, and sometimes slow time can actually cause more physical damage. It also has impair, so you can say that this is the best category weapon for Bronya. Not only that, this one, okay, Beerus BRI, it can actually transform into this Beerus EX. Now in case if you are wondering how much do I use this, I haven't used this at all. I haven't used it. Why have I not used it? Because this is best for the Bronya characters, which can only does physical damage dealing, and the best character among the Bronya characters is Harsher of Reason, which is a ice damage dealer. So this is a totally useless weapon. So do remember which type of weapon you are gonna get, because eventually these 5-star weapon are gonna transform into a 6-star weapon, and these are the total 3 6-star weapon available for the Bronya characters. Okay, now based on that, this Beerus PRI, Star Destroyer 19C, and this Key of Reason should be your primary target. Okay, and once you get your primary target, it will eventually become a 6-star weapon. So this will be enough for the 5-star category. Now let's go to the 6-star category. This is the only weapon for the Harsher of Reason Bronya. This can does ice damage, and it has many benefits because this one was especially made for Harsher of Reason. As written here, Harsher of Reason equips charge attack restore 3 SP in non-bike mode. So basically speaking, if you are equipped with this, every attack you do will give you more uh, 3 SP. So let's say in order to get 125 SP you need to get that much attack, right? But if you have this, you might get to 125 special point with half the attack points. Okay, so this is especially made for Harsher of Reason. Charge attack can also deal 30% more damage. So this weapon is specially built for Harsher of Reason, and this weapon is basically built for any of the physical damage dealers. So do remember that. Also, this weapon is a bit difficult to understand because it has many functions, way too much functions. So that is also another thing you must need to remember. For example, for mech, normal damage increases, physical damage increases, and for the psychic character, speed increases. Okay, so based on that, all I'm gonna say that if you have this, good, but if you are planning on using the for the harsher of reason, then definitely try to get domain of revelation, or in 5-star level it is called the key of reason. Okay, now in case if you are wondering which type of Bronya character you should be getting, trust me, you can grind for most of them, but except these two. Why? Because these two are not possible to get, as you can see, no available sources at the moment. Whereas this one, you can actually get her from the war treasury. Okay, so you can get all of them from the war treasury or something too similar. Basically speaking, you can grind for any of them. You can grind for any of them. Now the main question is, uh, how to know which character you should be using, right? Well, do remember that the Bronya set, except for these two, these two can actually do a huge amount of damage dealing. Basically speaking, these two are damage dealers rather than support characters. So instead of these two, you can use any of them, and there is no point in equipping any of them with any of the good quality weapons. The only good quality weapon you can use is on this Bronya Zaychik with black nucleus. As you can see here, the burst or ultimate is extremely high, damage is also high, and she is a good physical damage dealer. You can use that 5-star weapon which I showed you here, sorry, 6-star weapon which I showed you here, especially these two. You can use any of these two on the black nucleus. So basically speaking, if you have black nucleus, you can use Beerus EX or Star Destroyer 19CX on her. Okay, but if you have Harsher of Reason, let's see where it is, Bronya. Okay, if you use Harsher of Reason, then definitely try to get the key of reason for her. Okay, now let's see the category of this one. As you can see, survival rate, damage rate, and burst rate are extremely high. So what happens is I use her a lot. Okay, now in case of you are wondering what about the grinding method which I talked about in all of my videos. Okay, do not worry. First of all, grinding method for the weapons or forging method is there is this forge option which is available now, which was not used to be available. Okay, for this reason just click here and then select the correct Valkyrie type. Now do remember that there are many Bronya Zaychik, so you should be concerning yourself mostly with Harsher of Reason and black nucleus. Okay, Okay, I do not have black nucleus, as a result it is not showing. But if I had black nucleus, it would show me which weapon was best for her. Okay, so let's talk about Harsher of Reason only. Now, as you can see here, Harsher of Reason, the most strongest weapon for her is the Key of Reason, and then this Cyclops PRI. Okay, now I have told you that Cyclops PRI is actually a one enemy attack damage dealing weapon, so it will deal massive damage to one enemies only. So if this one is available for anti entropy imagination core 150 of them unit, then pro or girls, whichever you are, get this weapon. This weapon is the best quality weapon for this price range. Okay, so this weapon is best quality for this price range, so getting any other weapon is just a waste of time and resources. Like this one is 1450, but look, this one is 1450 less, and look at the amount of things you need to use this same. So in that regard, the question is, should you be missing this and buying all this other stuff which will not be useful at the ending of the game, or should you be using your anti-entropy code to buy this? My answer is, use the anti-entropy code to buy this. Okay, unlike my two previous videos where I talk about the best weapon for Kiana Kaslana or for Raiden May, the Bronya character is the most difficult one to understand, so do remember that if you try to use other for any type of support damage ceiling, then they are the best. Okay, for example, this one actually causes freeze to all of the enemy. While the enemy are freeze, you can use some other characters to deal damage to them. This one gives you shield protection and can actually affect your character, making them impair. Okay, and this one is Falco Chariot. Okay, let's see which one it is. Okay, Falco Chariot is basically the one which will get all of the enemies in one place, so it will be easier for you to attack them. So all of these are extremely good support type, but the thing is the support player or support Valkyrie is not my style of playing, so I only use main damage ceiling as this one. And what actually happened was, after this memorial arena was available, I couldn't won a single one of the matches using any of the Bronya characters. The only Bronya characters which I was able to use and defeat any of the enemies, obviously depend on the type that is. The only character which I used to defeat any of the memorial arena bosses was the Bronya Zaychik Harsher Fusion. Okay, so focus on her more than any of the other characters. And if you do want to spend a lot of crystals on getting a certain character, then please do it on this one or on Black Nucleus, but not in any of this one. They don't deserve any of the crystals as much as Black Nucleus or Harsher of Reason does. Okay,